and Orca divers, dive operation. It is September 20th. We are at the
Umpqua Ranch Cooperative
in Glide, Oregon for a clean and inspect a water supply tank. The diver is Tony Brown.
Roger that. Thank you for that read-in. I made entry into our reservoir and I've begun the cleaning process. I'm approximately 3 feet from the ladder. I've made my first several passes here in our reservoir. You can see our clean floor concrete here. And then our sediment here, approximately 1/2 inch. And we're moving it with our cleaning wand here. It's a video of the process we use to remove the sediment. Have our suction line exiting the reservoir, pulling all the sediment clear. Sediment appears to be a bit of iron, and I would estimate river silt, as that was our supply water at one time. No major defects found in the reservoir yet. The floor appears to be intact. Sediment is coming up nicely. You can see a clean floor behind us. We'll be back online a bit later with another video of our cleaning procedure, and then finally online again with our final inspection of the interior of the reservoir and all its components. We're back online with the continuation of the cleaning process. I'm almost done here. Just want to show the last little bit of the clean. Moving up our little beveled walls here. Getting all of our sediment out. Again, a slow-going process, but afterward the reservoir will be thoroughly cleaned. Have a little bit of sand in this area of the reservoir. I believe this is where near our inlet. Alright. So I just want to show a continuation of the cleaning process. We'll be back online in just a moment with our video inspection and the inspection of our repair procedure. Roger that. We've located a likely location for our leak. We have a little separation in our rubber sealant here. That leads down to another crack here. I don't know if you can see that on the feed or not. And then along this edge, there's a glob of the original sealant there. And then we can see another crack here. If we zoom back out, we can see our concrete here. We have a crack running from the wall of the reservoir to the floor down this beveled edge here. The crack there is pretty substantial. And it does continue down to the floor for a few feet, and it kind of tapers out here. We'll be applying a quad epoxy to our seam starting here, do it this area, and all over our visible crack here. It appears there was an attempt at a repair, perhaps. This is an old mortar here. Unknown about the history of repair to this leak. But that's likely the source of our leak, and we're going to repair it operating on that assumption. We're going to go offline for now. We'll be back online in a bit with our finished repair. Roger that. We're back online. We've completed the clean of our reservoir and effected our repairs to the floor. I'm at the ladder. In order to orient ourselves during the inspection, the ladder and hatch I'll reference as our 12 o'clock position, and then we think about the rest of the tank as face of a clock. You know, rotates clockwise of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 will be at the rear of the reservoir, of course, and so on. At the 12 o'clock position, we have our ladder on our main access hatch. This is a wooden roofed structure, fir beams, and plywood roof with shingle over the top. Classic never dies. We have one of our vents here, also our overflow. It's our PVC pipe we're looking at here, just counterclockwise of our 12 o'clock position. The cable we see here is part of our float level indicator. Our backup telemetry, if you will, is a tetherball. shackled into our line. And if we move the bottom, our ballast for this system is a piece of concrete. A simple but effective system has a backup float level indicator. If we rotate clockwise, you can see the below water portion of our ladder. Can we get some light there topside? Thank you. Some activity in the tank. I have removed some of the corrosion on here. A little bit of pitting, some intergranular corrosion to our ladder, concentration cell corrosion there. Largely intact. It's been serviceable for me, but I would exercise caution if a conventional worker does make entry into the reservoir. Footing of our ladder is just resting on the bottom. I'm going to move back above water line, so you can look at the above water portion in our first quadrant. So our first quadrant is going to be our 12 o'clock to our 3 o'clock position. You can see our roof largely intact. No obvious signs of damage or rot. Our screen, I have a gap around our edge of our tank. You can see our light coming in there from the outside. It is screened off. Some of the screen has been pulled away. I recommend repair to that, so no creatures get into the reservoir. That's not what you want. Directly above our hatch, of course, we have our telemetry. Some staining to that telemetry, otherwise intact. Our upper wall above waterline in quadrant 1 is intact. Our hardware is in good condition. We descend below waterline to the floor in quadrant 1. You can see we've removed our sediment. Our footing is largely intact throughout. Hardware is intact throughout. There was no hardware that I found in the reservoir, which is always a good sign. And the majority of our concrete floor is in good condition. There's some settling cracks throughout the reservoir, but it's not unusual for a reservoir of this age. Coming back above waterline, if we look back to our hatch, we can see that we are now in quadrant 2. There's a 3 o'clock position, rotating right. You can see all the way to 6 o'clock, and above us is our inlet. It's a PVC pipe. It uses a diffuser. It's a very good solution in order to mix your calcium hypochlorite or what have you, in order to ensure aeration and make sure that it's mixed properly. Simple but elegant. If you look to the center of our reservoir, you can see our wagon wheel center support. There's a fir beam on top of a steel pedestal. If you drop below water line, you can see our steel support. Some concentration cell corrosion, coating failure throughout our center support. Concentration cell corrosion again there. Our footing for our center support. Steel plate on concrete floor. It does have a coating to it, black in color. Hardware, 4 corners. The exposed steel of the hardware and exposed steel of the plate is showing some concentration cell corrosion, otherwise intact. We move to the go ahead and slack camera to the diver, please. Let's try that. I'm going to go ahead and move to the rear of the reservoir. And back down to the floor. Again, moving clockwise. You can see our footing on the floor of a reservoir. Again, just moving clockwise, taking a survey of the floor. Passing 9 o'clock position.
So, Tony, you just passed some seams in the floor. What are the nature of those? Are those previous repairs or are those castings?
These right here?
Correct.
These are, they're not a seam. They appear to be either from a form, which is not likely necessarily, or they're not a crack, and they come together inconsistently. I think they're tool marks from leveling the floor, would be my guess.
Copy that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, please do stop me at any time during the inspection to double check anything. So again, have our floor here. Again, more tool markings, I believe. A little bit of mortar poured on the floor in this area here. If you look back up, you can see our hatch. We are approaching the 12 o'clock position again, or approximately at 10:30. See, one of our outlets is in a rough sump. And you see, it appears to be a brass opening.
Is this the main outlet?
Unknown. I'm not sure of the configuration exactly. This one is a sump. That sump would be consistent with the drain. There is 2 hardware points for the installation of a grate over this. Grate is currently not in position, obviously. I estimate that to be a 3-inch opening, somewhere in there. If you rotate clockwise more, you can see our repair. This is for the area from the previous online. We had a series of caulking failure of our gasket failure, and then crack along our wall footing joint, and then our crack extending out on the floor here. It's been covered over with quad epoxy to food grade repair epoxy. But with a little bit of luck, our epoxy will be pulled into our leak, or forced into the leak, and set up before it pulls through completely. There does appear to be some settling here, some pull in. Appears to be incomplete, which is good. We'll examine it from the outside, see if it's pulled any of the epoxy through. If it has, we can reassess. Have our next outlet here. Does not appear to be in service. Yeah, slight pull going outboard. Heavy corrosion throughout. And concrete's a little rough around our penetration there. Otherwise intact. And we're back, of course, to our counterbalance, our ballast for our float level indicator, and our ladder, which brings us back to 12 o'clock position.
Copy, thank you.
Roger that. If we take one look back along our reservoir from 12 o'clock, we can see our PVC inlet. And we also have our screen running the circumference of our reservoir and our roof gap there. Appears to be largely intact. There are areas where the screen is damaged. Would recommend repair of that to prevent any unwanted visitors into the reservoir. With that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the video inspection and exit the reservoir.
Copy that. Thank you, Tony.
Copy.
We are back online in our second reservoir. This is our all-concrete reservoir at the Conservation Corps campus. Go ahead and open your hands up there just a little bit. So our diver, Justin, has recovered a large amount of caulking. There's negligible sediment on the floor of the reservoir. We're going to proceed with just removing any solid debris that could foul systems farther down. He's going to continue exploration of the reservoir, and for now we're going to go offline so we can remove that from the reservoir. right, we're online with our diver. He's continuing the cleaning process. Go ahead, Justin.
Yep, just finding more pieces of caulk laying around, as well as little buttons of rust, while at the same time slowly picking up the loose sediment on the bottom of the tank. Just a very light dusting of sediment.
That looks like just a skiff. Is that pretty consistent throughout?
Yeah, roger.
Okay, I'm going to let him continue with the cleaning process. We've got a good-sized perimeter to go around. I'll be back online in a little bit with another video segment. We're back online with our diver. He's continued the cleaning process and is working his way around the perimeter of the reservoir where we're finding the majority of our sediment. Still just a skiff, but we're going to go ahead and remove that as well as any debris we find. Go ahead, Justin. Give him a view of the cleaning process there.
All right.
So as we can see, he's made his way about halfway around the reservoir now. We're going to continue on, and we'll be back online shortly with the final video inspection. We are back online with the diver. He's completed the cleaning procedure, and we are about to go for final inspection. He's at the 12 o'clock position. Will you pan up there, Justin? We can see the light from the hatch coming in there, and we can see our ladder in front of us. There's some concentration cell corrosion to the ladder. We'll adjust our light here for a little better view. There we go. As you can see, some corrosion throughout the rungs and rails. Footings are intact, heavy corrosion throughout. As you can see, our floor below the ladder is intact. If we pan up and right, we can see one of our outlets there, as well as that pipe extends all the way to the bottom and has wire on it, correct?
Roger that.
All right, that's our telemetry there. Looks like there's some zip ties missing. We have a big tangle of telemetry wire, but it all appears to be intact. There's no damage to that, is there?
I'm not seeing any damage.
Roger that. Let's go ahead and follow that up to water line. Go ahead and climb the ladder so we can watch it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, we follow that above water line. Go ahead and look up. See some of our gear in there. And all the way up to the ceiling, if you would. And there's our penetration. A little bit of spalling around that penetration, otherwise intact. Above that, we can see our hatch. Ladder is intact, in good condition above water line, as is the hatch penetration itself. It's a modern hatch with a nice ladder. Although after being submerged, one should always be cautious of a ladder should you do a drain and enter a conventional worker. Let's go ahead and head back to bottom.
All right, back on bottom.
That. And if we look up and right there, we can see one of our first penetrations to the floor of the reservoir. Pan down a little bit, we can see it. There she is on the left there. All right, let's get a little bit closer look to that, please.
Back to this.
Negative, the penetration in the floor.
So this?
That's our fitting on the floor there. Ah, it's a cover, I see. There's nothing under it. That explains the open penetration we saw on the other side of the reservoir. That's okay. So go ahead and put that by the ladder. We'll recover that upon exit.
All right.
Good underneath. Hey, we're going to go ahead and see if we can place that cover back over the inlet outlet. So let's go ahead and bring that with us during the inspection here. All right, as you can see, it's stainless steel. It had mild steel hardware. That mild steel hardware is gone. All right, so let's go ahead and move clockwise along our floor wall seam. The floor and wall meet, and then we'll continue our inspection from there. Yeah. If we look up, we can see our wall, and it appears to be largely intact. We see our seams from our forms there. Do you see any cracking in there, Justin?
From where I'm at, I don't see any cracking.
Let us know if you do. It can sometimes be hard to pick up on the camera feed. Looks like we have a few some porosity there, that little hole there.
Up above, is there any caulking done on any seams?
Above waterline, we're going to inspect for caulking on the seams there. But for now, we're going to just move around the base of the reservoir. Moving clockwise, we're still in quadrant 1, so that's between the 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock position. If we think of the hatch of our reservoir as 12 o'clock, we have our inlet-outlet. Let's see if the shoe fits, Justin. How big would you say that inlet outlet is? 6 inch? Keep your distance.
Yeah, I'd say like 6 inches.
Is that all right? We're going to continue clockwise. On that fitting to your left there with all that corrosion on there is where's that lead? We follow that to its destination.
Yeah, it's right here. Right, meets the wall.
Does that penetrate the floor or the wall?
Floor.
Does that?
And then you want me to follow all the way up?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, can you see up there?
Roger that. Can you swim that to surface for just a moment, please? Thank you. We have a connector there. Excellent. And if we look up, go ahead and pan all the way to the surface, all the way to the roof. Looks like that's our overflow. Excellent. Is that sturdy? Is that intact?
It's sturdy.
Roger that. Thank you. Let's go ahead and return to the bottom, and we'll continue our clockwise lap around the floor wall seam.
All right.
Pan up for me as you move, if you would. Thank you. See our walls here. Some exudate, that lighter coloration we see. It's just the minerals coming out of the concrete. Below your left hand there, is that a bit of corrosion on the wall?
It feels like caulking.
That, yeah, it's either caulking or it looks like it might be exudate. Is that, there's an orange corrosion spot?
Are you asking if I see orange corrosion?
Yes. On the wall.
No, I don't see them on the wall.
Right there.
There's a spot.
That looks like that could be some exposed reinforcement. That's good to know. All right, let's continue our path, moving clockwise. When you get a chance, Justin, could you look back to the hatch, make sure of our position here?
There's the hatch.
All right, looks like you're approaching the 6 o'clock position. Now we're going to go have you return to the center, to that stainless steel column in the center. We're going to have you climb it, and so you can inspect the above water portion. You can leave that that grate at the ladder or wherever you want. We're just got to get it back.
All right. I'm at the column.
Roger that. Let's go ahead and reroute your umbilical to the your right side of that column, so you can just proceed after being at surface.
All right. All right. You say go ahead and climb it?
That's right. Head to surface, please.
All right.
We have some staining there, and we have some mild hardware on that stainless steel fixture. Concentration self-corrosion throughout. Oh, I see. It was a mount for... Let's look farther up. Can you go above waterline there? Yep, there we go. It's a missing section in our support. All the way to the roof, please. Pan up. A little more. All right, we see that penetration. That's around our vent there. It could be the vent penetrates all the way to water line there, or it is broken off, unknown. Our vent penetration appears to be intact. Let's do a pan of the entire seam of the roof cap from the 12 o'clock position, rotating clockwise.
Okay. Am I getting it?
Test your light a little bit. Yeah, that's a good feed. And looking at 3 o'clock, just keep rotating nice and slow. You can see a little exudate there on some of our roof seams. And we have our ladder and our float indicator there. At this time, I'm going to have you move to the back of the tank again, and we're going to continue our clockwise path back toward 12 o'clock.
Okay. You said return to 12?
I'll go ahead and return to the 6 o'clock position, the back of the tank. All right, let's continue that clockwise path. As we move, let's just pan up and down, look at the walls and the floor joint, and out to the right into the center of the floor. Kind of get a feel of what's going on in the tank there. So as we saw in our online segments, during our cleaning process, you'd remove a fair amount of caulking from around the floor wall seam, as well as some concentration cells that have fallen off the wall. Here we see a little more exposed reinforcement. Could you pan back to that? Pan up. There we go, right there. Again, that's concentration cell corrosion, presumably from exposed reinforcement in the wall of the tank. Let's go ahead and continue clockwise. And then one of our seams there appears to be intact. We are seeing those few intermittent spots of exposed reinforcement throughout. Continue clockwise. See another exposed reinforcement there. And we continue clockwise. Can you pan over to the floor there, please?
To the floor?
Yeah, out in the center of the tank there. Pan up a little bit. Looks like we're back at the ladder.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and return to the surface at the ladder there.
All right. If you'll mount that ladder and ascend the surface, we're going to look at the float level indicator, and that'll be one of our last pictures to examine, as it is our last thing heading toward 12 o'clock. So we see, is that solid foam? What was that?
Does that appear to be solid foam?
Yeah, it's solid.
Roger that. Let's pan up on the hardware, on the wire, all the way to the roof. All right, penetration appears to be intact. The above water portions and exterior portions are intact. With that concludes our last fixture in the reservoir. We're going to go ahead and conclude the video, and the diver's going to exit the